Greetings, friends. This is Annie from 41 Dots, and this video talks about how I use my bullet journal to plan for, capture, and run meetings with my clients. My company is a branding, design, and web design and development firm. So I have a lot of clients whom I meet with, and we have fairly complex discussions, and I need to capture a lot of information. I need to run the meeting. I need to keep them moving, and also, give the impression to the client that I know what I'm doing and that I know what questions to ask. So, generally, before a meeting, I will prep by brainstorming what questions I need to ask. And then I use this general framework to prep in my bullet journal before the meeting. So I think this is applicable to all kinds of client meetings, probably other kinds of meetings too that I can't quite imagine, no matter what your business is. And I tried to keep the example kind of generic so that you can extrapolate to whatever you're working on. So here's the format I use. I write the client name at the top. I usually put it in a box because I like to put the big title in a box in my bullet journal. I write the date. If I know who's going to be at the meeting, I'll write their names here. A lot of times this gets filled in when I get there and they make introductions. And I'm pretty bad with names, so it's great if I already have my journal open and I can write down their names so I don't forget mid-meeting or post-meeting. Then what I do is I write down the list of things I want to ask or go over during the meeting. It's sort of like the meeting agenda, but for my eyes only. And sometimes I will do a more public-facing agenda that I will do as a handout and hand out to everyone, especially if it's a longer meeting or things are a little complicated and I want people to get a sense of where we are in the schedule. But often if it's a shorter meeting, like an hour, 2 hours even, I will just write the agenda for myself and keep things moving. So what I do is I'll write each point with a number in this little list here. Like what's new since last we spoke, and what's your current sense of blah, blah, blah. And, some question about stakeholders and and a question about goals and technical requirements, whatever is appropriate for this conversation. And I number them and I leave a little space between in case either during the meeting or, while I'm riding the train to get there, I think of something else that should fit in this flow. I'll do, 2.5 and smush something in there. And the point of numbering them is then during the meeting, I'll come over here and I will do the same number and I'll take notes on what they're saying. And obviously it's keyed to the question, so I know what I'm talking about. And, I can go on several pages depending on the length of the meeting. The other thing that I like to do is write down the action steps so that I remember to end the meeting by talking about what we need to do next. And so I'll write down some that I know that they're going to need to do. Like send me the files and set up a Basecamp account and designate a point person or whatever it is. I mean, it could be more specific than that. But I know going in, I'm going to have to ask them for these things at the end, or send me the check or, whatever. And this reminds me to do that. And it's super important to close meetings that you're running with, the what comes next. It really helps people to focus on outcomes and what's, not all the blah, 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 but what's important going forward. So I write that. And sometimes during the meeting, I will add to this list if more things come up, I realize I need to do, send me somebody's address or research something or whatever. I'll write them on the list too. Then I have some special sections down at the bottom. This section here is not, I don't need this at every meeting, but it's a little trick I have. If I sense or I know because of the part of the process we're in, if it's like a pitch meeting or we haven't signed a contract yet, that I might need to bring up an offering and how much it costs or some sort of thing involving money or super specific facts or deliverables or something that I'm worried I will flub or not say confidently, especially the money stuff. I mean, this is really a good tip for money stuff. I will write it down for myself and I'll write down what I've decided I'm going to charge them. Like if they want the extra thing, it's going to be $1,200. And so that way I'm not put on the spot and, nervous and don't want to talk about money or feel pressured or second guess myself or anything like that. I'll just write it down and then I look at it and I say it confidently, like it's a done deal. It's a fact. There's a whole can of worms that is pricing your services, and I'm not going to really go there right now. It's not always that you know how much something will cost, and it's perfectly okay. And in fact, in most cases, it's appropriate to say, let me get back to you on that. You don't want to be rushed into giving a number or quoting emotionally. You absolutely don't. You want to think about it. You want to sleep on it and send it to them in some, official-ish capacity. So this is for when there are like pre-known numbers, like you have some offering and it always costs X, or you've decided for them it's going to cost X and it's a flat fee. That's when I would use this sort of technique. The other sections I have down here are the parking lot and actions. The parking lot is where I write things that come up during our conversation that are sort of tangential or that we should come back to at the end of the meeting or at a later date, or I should send them an email about or something. Things that we're getting off topic, but it's sort of interesting, or somebody's really passionate about it, but I don't think it's important. So I say, let's park that. And I write it down in the parking lot. And a lot of times in a meeting, I will actually do this on a whiteboard, not just in my notebook. Like if I'm sort of conducting the meeting up at a whiteboard with, it's more interactive like that. And I will draw a big square. It says parking lot. And I will park things that we need to come back to or that are off topic. Some clients are better about that than others. And indeed, if it is stuff that I feel we should get to, I'll come back to it at the end of the meeting, like right before action steps. But sometimes it's better to just let it die on the vine and not wound any egos, but not take the time to deal with something kind of irrelevant. The action square here is what I use to write down things that come up that I have to do. Like this is mostly things my client has to do or I have to do with them. Like maybe I set them up in the project management software, but they have to create an account or something like that. This is where I write down like, oh, I need to research X and I need to send them this and I need to get back to them about this. And I just told them I don't know the answer to this and I should get back to them. And so I write that in there and I'll usually just put, little bullet points. Occasionally I'll use this sort of infinity symbol to indicate a link, like I need to look something up on the web. Occasionally I'll use a little book icon to indicate that it's something I need to research or it's literally a book I should look at. Sometimes clients recommend cool books when you're just talking about stuff. Happens all the time, or articles or whatever. So I'll give myself a little symbol. So that's basically how I do it. And, I'll come out with lots of notes, like this could go on for pages, and then I process it into whatever action steps I need to take. Like these things will probably go on some daily or weekly to-do list, and this might turn into writing an estimate or a proposal or some contract or some piece of fun paperwork, and the stuff I might put on my waiting for list in my weekly or daily to do, so I know I'm waiting for them to send me the file or whatever. And this information is all just what I use to keep going with the project. So that's how I conduct the meeting sometimes. And I like it. Sometimes I do this whole thing or something very similar on my laptop, usually in Evernote. Some meetings feel laptop-y, some feel notebook-y, sometimes it doesn't matter. I can actually type a lot faster than I can write, so as long as I can look like I'm paying attention while I'm doing it, sometimes that's really more efficient. But I love my notebook, so sometimes I just use that. Hope this is helpful. Have good meetings, and frameworks are your friend. Okay, thanks. Bye.